Yes, good afternoon. Mary Ann sends her apologies. I know she really wanted to be here. Oh, hi. Yeah, Mary Ann asked me to fill in for her. And I've been close to some of this material for quite a bit. I was in industry for 25 years before joining the FDA. I've been with the FDA now for just less than a year. And I always wanted, while in industry, as my background is statistics, I always wanted the FDA to feel my pain and understand all the stuff that we have to go through to put together, to do clinical trials, put together the submission. And now, being on the FDA side, I certainly see and feel the FDA statistical and medical reviewers' pain and what they have to go through. Now, we're going to see if we can work these. Probably went the wrong way. There we no. Yep. Okay. So the problem has been the problem for years. I mean, you could have seen that first bullet many years ago, and it's unbelievable that in 2012 we're still saying that there's extreme variability and unpredictability of the format and content of applications. But it's true. A statistic is back in 2011, only about 40% of applications used CDISC standards. That's hard to believe. Recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, I was at the SCDM meeting, and I asked the audience, how many of you guys are full speed with CDISC standards? It was about 50%. And the rest were thinking about it, or it was like deer in the headlights. Very interesting that's where we are today. I think about, as a statistician in industry with one product, and over the years having to come up with the company standard. But think about the FDA reviewer who has to deal with all of the standards that are submitted to them, and they have to do this within the PDUFA timeframe guidelines for review. And what does that do? Well, it just impacts on being able to do in-depth analyses, because what you have are reviewers who are writing their own programs trying to make sense of the data. So it is still a major problem. This is just a slide of the workload, about a year's worth of INDs and meetings. So over and above what the statistical and medical reviewers are at their desk reviewing applications, they're also dealing with a lot of other stuff day in and day out. So tremendous workload, and workload that seems to be increasing. I think Mary Ann put this slide because this is the 21st century review, and everything's supposed to be really fast. But if you look at what's in that circle, the time frame for conducting a review, after you get through all of the processes of getting to the point of when you're ready, that medical reviewer, stat reviewer is ready to sit down and actually review the submission. That's not a lot of time where they have to come up with a decision. So what's this all about? This is all about standards and tools that will be able to expedite the review process. So PDUFA, everyone knows what FDASIA, a lot of people call it FDASIA, a lot of people call it FDASIA, but I won't go into folks at FDA are using both pronunciations. But FDASIA reauthorizes PDUFA, so PDUFA 5, and in 12 6.e, clinical terminology standards. This is a major section of Section 12. There's a ABCD talks about mandating electronic submissions, and this section, Section E and G, talk about terminology and therapeutic area standards. And so the goal is to, by 2017, to start publishing these clinical data terminology implementation guides. The nice thing about the PDUFA reauthorization letter, it doesn't say how many. I'm glad that that was so. However, I'll show you another slide. So other goal is to work on a project plan. That is already in the works. I started at FDA in February. There wasn't a day doesn't go by that we don't talk about PDUFA 5. Every single day in my group, we talk about PDUFA 5 and how we can get these commitments completed over the next 5 years. And there'll be guidances. We're also talking about how that will work. What process besides the normal, the regular clearance process for guidance can we use? We know that there's a tremendous amount of work to be done, so we're looking at an expedited way to clear a lot of these documents. So internally, the technical documents would have a pathway, and the FR notice announcing the guidance would have another pathway. So this is the 58 and 5. It used to be 55 and 5. It sounded really nice, 55 and 5, but people seem to be adding more. So I don't know whether it's 58. It's somewhere around that. This is just a pretty graphic. There's also another, there's the link there. There's another document on the website that provides this information in a spreadsheet. But I presented this here. Marianne and I like to present this slide because it's people ask a lot of questions about that slide. Number one, they can't read it, but it looks pretty. So that's the task at hand. Whether all of those will be done in 5 years, don't know. It's not going to be the FDA alone that does this. By any means, the FDA cannot do this. It's all about collaboration to get this done. Oop. So there's a number of organizations, as some of you might know, that are converging on the need to get this done. And the first one is CFAST. How many know what CFAST is? Okay, a few. All right. You all know what CDISC is, right? CDISC, right? And CPATH, right? Of course. So CPATH and CDISC came together and have an agreement, a collaboration, and formed this entity called CFAST, Coalition for Accelerating Standards and Therapies, focused on the therapeutic area standards. Could be focused on some other initiatives as well, but certainly one of the key ones is the therapeutic area standards. How about Transcelerate? It's been in the press over the past couple of weeks. Yes. Originally, the Heaver group of 10 or so pharma companies have were meeting over the past 15 years or so. Finally, they decided that they're going to actually maybe do something. I don't know. And they decided that they were going to come up with 10 initiatives and focus on then 5. And one of those 5 are clinical standards. So again, in my 25 years in industry, it was rare to see a VP of clinical development care one way or another about standards. But this is big as far as I'm concerned, that standards have been recognized as important to streamline clinical trials and getting drugs, medical products on the market. And HL7, of course, FDA has been collaborating with HL7 and with the KIC for a number of years now, and a very important component in the bigger picture of healthcare. So what's FDA's participation in the CFAST initiative? Well, certainly we're going to provide scientific and technical direction. Scoping is, as you can imagine, scoping the areas are critical because to get this done, one has to be focused and not boil the ocean, but certainly get the first cut. The FDA subject matters will be available for review of the documents and the standards when ready. And of course, FDA, as I mentioned before, will publish draft and final guidance. And because this is under PDUFA 5, they will be enforceable. So just a quick picture of what that governance looks like of CFAST. You see up in, I'm not going to go through all of this, but you see up in the steering committee that FDA does have a seat. Marianne Slack and I sit on the steering committee for the therapeutic area standards program of CFAST. And again, it's not going to get done with just a steering committee. It's going to take many teams to get this done. The industry volunteers, of course, the reviewer community within the FDA, and the SDOs who have to work to finalize these standards. The last couple of slides I have, just going into some examples of where standards have made a difference. There's a pilot going on at FDA in Cedar using SAS's clinical data integration tool. That tool is working with a product called eDish. No, that's not a satellite. It's not another cable company, but it is pretty interesting name. It stands for Electronic Drug-Induced Serious Hepatotoxicity. And this tool needs those data that are sitting there on the right. However, they need them in a SDTM in a specified format for eDish. So what the CDI tool did is take in the SDTM data and map it to the eDish required format. And what was being done, or is currently being done, is the reviewers have to piece together all of these data to do this. And the pilot process using the CDI showed that they could map once and use many times. And one of the plots, this is the product is Xantra versus warfarin, and just shows that you could see the outliers there, the elevated values, and you could click on those and drill down in to the patient level. I don't have much time, so I'm going to go quickly through this one. This is another tool. This is a Medra-based tool developed by CEDAR reviewers to, it does a number of things. It generates analysis data sets. You see that with the use of the tool, a medical officer made a discovery of anaphylaxis that was unrecognized by a sponsor. And it generates a standard table. And then industry has been doing this for decades. Standard table listings and figures, TLFs, right? But think about FDA getting all of the different standards and trying to do an analysis. Well, if the FDA gets the SDTM data, gets the standard data, then they can run it through their standard routines for tables, listings, and figures, and produce and do a faster review. So they see what they need for their review. It's traceable, which is very important to the reviewers. So this is a key to using standards. So these are just 3 examples of using standards to expedite review. I think that's it. Oh, I got 9 seconds. No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Why don't you sit up here?